Hello, welcome to InSight. I'm Wendy Brokaw. Today we are on site at Marion-Polk Foodshare, and behind me, packing is going on where people are repackaging vegetables that will go to the area food pantries. We're also here to talk about the impact of federal government cuts to emergency food programs and how they're coping with that and how they're meeting the need.
Good intro to that part of the country. She brought me in. She started volunteering here, and she said, I think you'd like to do this. I volunteer in the garden community a lot, but she started doing this, and she said, you will enjoy this, and I have. We're part of the repackaging team. So when those onions come in and there's 50 or 60 bags, we take them out of the big bags and put them in little bags that then go to pantries around the community for people to get food. They did frozen collard greens last week. We do dried beans. We go through donated produce and pick over stuff that shouldn't be there. Every once in a while we go through frozen product like leftover meat, ice cream. The big treat is after the holidays doing the candy sorting, because Easter and lots of candy comes in. So we do anything, everything. The reason I do this is I can't imagine kids being hungry. Of all the most horrible things in the world for a parent would be having a hungry child. So we do this, I think, more for the kids than for any other reason, but it's just great to give back. I watched the news last night. It was very, very discouraging how much is being cut from the Farm Bill, and so it's going to impact both the growers, the farmers, but they've been offered some help. But there isn't that same offer for the food banks and the families that rely on the food banks. So, yeah, this is critical work, and it's certainly in jeopardy. I think it's one of the most rewarding things you could ever do. You can do as little or as much as you want. We're here one day a week. We come in a little bit more, but there are people who come in 2, 3, 4 times a week, and it's a way to give back, and it's a way to feel really good about yourself. And it's a really good thing to do.
Rick, remind us what Marion-Polk Foodshare does.
Great. I'd love to tell you about Marion-Polk Foodshare. First, I'm Rick Gaupo. I'm the president and CEO of the Foodshare. And I've been here about 13 years, which I love. So we're a regional food bank. There's 20 regional food banks in Oregon, so we cover every county. There's actually regional food banks that cover every county in the United States. We have an umbrella organization called Feeding America. So sometimes when you see Feeding America, it's just a coalition of us working together to make sure no one is hungry in our community. So there's literally counterparts to me and to Marion-Polk Foodshare across the nation. As a regional food bank, what we're really, really good at is receiving all of the donated food that is available in our community and the government-assisted food that it comes to our community, and receiving it as a warehouse. We're a regional distribution center. We receive that food, and then we send it out to local pantries. So when people think about food making, they really don't think about a warehouse of food. They think about a local pantry where a family can come and get assistance. That local pantry predominantly gets their food from us. They get it from some of their own efforts. They get it from a small food drive. They get it from some of their volunteers. But the majority of food in the Marion and Polk County in those local pantries comes from us.
How many millions of pounds does that add up to a year?
So we're just about 9.2 million pounds of food last year. At the height of COVID, we were about 13 million pounds of food. So it's significant, 9.2 million pounds of food. Easy math on this is that's about $1.50, maybe just a little more now. These are kind of old numbers. These are some pre-inflationary numbers. It's about $1.50 of value per pound. So about $14 million of value went out into the local community to help the family struggling the most to get immediate assistance. It's an amazing program that gets food assistance, which translates to economic relief to the lowest income families immediately. So how were we impacted by recent federal cuts to food assistance programs? So first, I want to make sure everyone understands we are fortunate. We live in the Willamette Valley. We have an amazing farm grower community. We have food processors here. We have grocery stores, food drives. That's kind of our channel of food. About 75% of our food comes locally. We are higher than many of my counterparts around the country in terms of how much food comes locally because this is the Willamette Valley. This is a place where food is grown. So that means 20 to 25% of our food comes from government programs. That is not insignificant. It's still 20 to 25%. That's 2+ million pounds of food that is coming from our partnerships with USDA. So here's some of the background. The programs that help low-income families get food assistance, whether it be in SNAP, which is assistance that goes directly to families, or in a program called TFAP, the Emergency Food Assistance Program. That is part of USDA. It is part of the Farm Bill, and it is the same bill that works to help stabilize and shore up our farmers in our community. And there's a reason those two bills have been, the Food Assistance Program and the Farmer Assistance Program have been tied into the Farm Bill. It is because as we use USDA to assist food banks to distribute food out to families in need, we are also providing security and shoring up food farmers markets, commodities. So that's a big background on USDA. USDA most recently eliminated, currently permanently, I say currently because something could reverse, but right now it's cut, one of the funding streams that are in TFAP, the Emergency Food Assistance Program. It is the largest of the three funding streams. So about half of our funds for USDA food has now been eliminated from the project, from the stream. We're estimating in the upcoming year that's going to be 800,000 to a million less pounds of food that will be distributed to low-income families who need it the most. So this will have an impact.
What kind of an impact? They're already struck.
Yeah, I think so. What is definitely true is unless something changes, so here's what could change. The community could do more local donating. That is actually one of the hardest ways because we get all the donated food we know how to get already. So, but community could do more donating. There could be a reversal of the programs that are cut. There could be a different program that props up. But the land of the way that we know it currently is about half of our funding, or about 10% of our overall food. So half of our government food, which is about 20 to 25% of our overall food. So half of that, 10-ish%, is eliminated. So what it means is this doesn't impact Marion-Polk Foodshare. I want to make sure that's important because Marion-Polk Foodshare is the organization that distributes the food that we have available, and we're going to continue doing this. This impacts local families seeking assistance. This impacts the families who are struggling to stay in their home. The vast majority of people we're serving are already in the home. The majority of people we're serving have a parent in employment. So we're not talking about people who have no resources. We're talking about people whose resources are stretched so thin that they come to food pantries for assistance so that they can pay their rent, so that they can pay gas to get to their job, so that they can pay medical bills, grocery bills, clothing for their children. Food assistance programs are an immediate relief to all of those pressures. And so that's what food banking does. And now we're going to be having just a little bit less resource. So every family that comes to a food pantry, they are still going to get food. They're going to get food. And what is true is they're going to get a little less food. What's very hard about the cuts of USDA is USDA is top quality food. It is food that we care about. It is literally pork and chicken, eggs and dairy. We have in our warehouse right now, we have flour, oil, beans, corn, all from our purchase of USDA food. I'm literally today going to have a chicken salad sandwich for lunch. I had that from my home. It was on my cupboard. It is also one of the things that was we were able to purchase through USDA funds. So we're talking about this food you and I eat. We're talking about the staples. We're talking about again dairy. When we ask pantries what they most want, it is eggs. It is milk. It is meat. It actually is flour and oils as well. Pantry staples. And all of that comes from our partnerships through the federal government, USDA assistance, and about half of that assistance has now been cut. So we will still get USDA food, just about half of what we got in the past.
How many people annually do you serve?
We actually count in months, which it's easier for us to track because what has historically been true is people don't come every month. They don't come every month for a year. They come in the moment of need. And so how many families are we serving each month? It will be a little interesting to see what's happening now. Will pressures be so tight that families are coming every month? Are we now part of the stabilization of families long term? Or is it a temporary status, which has historically been true? I don't know that yet. So every month we can count how many unique visits we have to a local pantry. So what that means is you came into Table of Plenty out in South Salem, L.R. Kern in Independence, Ware in Woodburn, Iskamukmuk House in Grand Ronde, Kaiser Food Bank. I was trying to mentally think around the whole 2-county area, Igana, so you came into one of those food banks and we can count that. And we have very good numbers on how many people have been coming over, how many unique visits. Pre-COVID, so 2019, we had right around 10,000 visits. COVID, that number shoots up to about 14 to 15,000 unique visits. And that's a visit is like I'm serving a household. So 10,000 unique visits means approximately 40,000 people being assisted. Family times 4. One visit times 4, so a family of 4. We are now at 18,000 visits, more than ever before, per month.
Let's think about that for just a second. I'm sorry, I'm stunned.
18,000. So 18,000 different times somebody is walking into a local pantry in Marion-Polk County. This is numbers from December of 2024. So we'll just about to update those numbers. We update the numbers every quarter. So come sometime this month, I'll have my new updated numbers. So 18,000 unique visits. So approximately 65,000, 70,000 household individuals benefiting from those unique visits.
What's going on? Why the increase? Just at a time when supplies are diminishing.
Well, I think this is one of the problems our community is grappling with right now. So here's my speculation of why the increase is during COVID, specifically low-income, low-wage jobs were cut. And so you would expect to increase then. Then additional federal safety net programs started, child tax credit, increased SNAP benefits, stimulus checks, which I received. I didn't need a stimulus check. I got a stimulus check. But there was these different programs that assisted families. Those were all COVID-related stimulus or assistance programs that have now sunsetted or been eliminated. They've gone back to pre-COVID standards. Right at the same time, inflation was spiking. So when you think about food banking, we are a relief to families' pocketbook. And so if your assistance and your safety nets are diminishing and your rent is up more than 30% since pre-COVID, groceries are up more than 35% pre-COVID. So, but paychecks are not. So families are being squeezed tighter and longer than ever before. And so the response is you come to a local pantry. So what breaks my heart about the work? I would first say it's not the way I think about the problem, because I am literally surrounded by generous people donating their time and money and food. And I go out to local pantries and I'm surrounded by people thankful that there are programs and community members who care about them and make sure that they're not hungry. So predominantly, the work of food banking doesn't break my heart. It brings me joy. And in the midst of that, I have to say, we live in the Willamette Valley. We live in the United States. We live in Oregon and the United States. We live in a community that is agriculturally rich and a country that is economically rich. And we still struggle with addressing how we're going to make sure that no family, no child, no senior is hungry. Marion-Polk Foodshare is a unique food bank in that we also, besides our food banking program, we also run Meals on Wheels. We serve about 1,000 seniors a day a hot meal delivered by a caring volunteer. Again, we live in the Willamette Valley in Oregon in the United States, and in our small 2-county area, we're not even scratching the surface of how many seniors need food assistance. And so I think policies that address food security, I think policies that address Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare are extremely important, because I don't want any senior to say, I don't know where I'm going to get my meal today.
Did it take you by surprise that to all of a sudden have a contracted for delivery, suddenly you find out that it's not going to be delivered? The whole idea of this abrupt stop.
Yeah, I'm stumbling over whether it took me by surprise, meaning that we were cautious and concerned about programs impacting low-income families. And again, I want to say, we can't use the term, we can't think of this impacts Marion-Polk Foodshare, because what Marion-Polk Foodshare at its heart does is to deliver to families all the local donated food and government food available and assistance. We are going to still do that. But it is definitely going to impact families in our community. It is going to impact the families in Mill City and Gates and Staten and Silverton and Woodburn and Jervis. I'm just trying to name some of the communities where our food goes. It is definitely going to impact those families. And I would say it less caught us by surprise, and it definitely saddens us that families are going to receive less assistance and going to struggle more to have basic good nutrition. I think there's a separate issue that's not directly in Marion-Polk Foodshare's purview, but USDA is a program where they were buying that food from farmers because we all want a stable farmer market. We want our farmers to be solid throughout the United States. And USDA was in part being able to buy surplus farm food when there was necessary. They're able to, there's a program called bonus buys. It's a terrible name, but it was a program where if there was more than the usual number of blueberries, this is a real example, if there was more than the number of blueberries in the system because it was a great banner crop, USDA purchases those blueberries to help stabilize that product, that farmers, so and keep the market price what we want it to be, and that food comes to food banks. So I think not only are families going to be definitely hurt in this reduction, I am curious to see what's going to happen to farmers in this reduction of USDA. And I believe in the bumper stickers that say no farms, no food. And so this is definitely going to hurt. This is definitely going to hurt families who are struggling. and I'm also cautious and worried about our local farmers.
Do you think you're ever really going to be able to fill the need
Yeah.
given the great increase?
So I think
Have
we have
enough.
I think we have to turn that question around. So are we ever going to fill the need? Here's one of the things I love about being involved in food bank, and I love right over here we have a ton of volunteers working right now. We have people who donate to the food share. We have people who contribute to the food share because they believe in a world that they want. They believe in a world where no one is hungry. I think that is so important. I love to be able to say my time and energy is to make sure no one is hungry because that's the world I want to be true. I think it is as important for us to think about why people are hungry and do we want to live in that world of why people are hungry and what are the policies and issues that impact poverty and this very, very real struggle that families are having just to stay in their home. So when you ask me, do I ever think we're going to fill the need? We are not going to fill the need through food alone. Food helps people not be hungry today. Policies that reduce poverty is what helps people not be hungry tomorrow. And we need to be thinking about both the distribution of food today to serve families that are hungry. Because here's where I stand on this. If you're hungry and you come to a food pantry, I want you to get food. Because I believe you and I believe your family and your children and your older parents need assistance. And I am happy to get you food. And I want people to think about how do we change that dynamics so poverty is reduced in the United States. I used to tell people when they asked me this question, how could they help? I used to have three answers. I used to have the answer of volunteer, donate food, donate money. My answer has now added, every time you vote, ask this question. Do I think this policy will help a child not be hungry today? The reason I use children here, I care about adults, I care about seniors, but because I think there's a moment of honesty. You say, I don't know why that child is hungry, and I don't want them to be hungry. And I don't care what the reasons are. I don't think that child should be hungry. We never blame the child for being hungry. But right now at the Oregon legislature, there's a program that is expanding the school meal program to be universal statewide. I love that program because I don't want any child coming to school hungry. And I don't, whatever reasons people say, this should be done this way, this should be done that way, this should be done that way. I say, is this program going to help children not be hungry? And if it is, let's support that. So those are my 4 ways. Volunteer, donate money, donate food share, and every time you're at the ballot box or electing somebody, ask this question. Do I think this issue or this person is going to help reduce child hunger?
Thank you for joining us on InSight OnSite today. I'm Wendy Brokaw.